to my podcast. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by former Wigan Athletic defender Roman Golobart. Roman played for Wigan Athletic between 2009 and 2013, featuring the early stages of the side's famous FA Cup win in 2013. After leaving Wigan on a free transfer, Roman joined FC Cologne in Germany before having set spells at several different clubs in his native country, Spain. Roman, who goes by the nickname, which I absolutely love, the Pink Iguana, is currently playing in Cyprus with AEK Larnaca. I have to get that right pronunciation. And as you can see, the viewers today with Roman, his backdrop is a lot nicer than mine in the sunny weather of Cyprus. So first and foremost, Roman, thanks for joining me. And how have you been during lockdown?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure. And during lockdown, I've been okay. I have a nice place to stay at in a beautiful country. The only downside, I would say, it's not being able to see my family for as far as, well, it happens to be that last time I saw them was September last year for football reasons. And then I thought this summer I could see them, but obviously lockdown, I couldn't fly there. They couldn't fly here. So that's the only downside. But regarding everything else, I've been very lucky.
It's great to hear, and it's really nice to hear from you as well, because a lot of Wigan fans, although you didn't play as many games as you probably like for Wigan Athletic, you left a big impact off the pitch. You famously, when we won the FA Cup, you did a little crab dance with which is actually quite a loved gif on Twitter. And my question is, what impression did the club leave on you, and what are your memories of being at Wigan Athletic?
Yeah, so to be honest, when I moved there, I was a little bit like not sure where I was going. You know, I knew that the club had been in the Premier League for 4 years, but I didn't know exactly the location, geography wise, and I didn't know the history of the club. You know, but obviously English football has a lot of history. All the clubs there have a lot of history, so there's always a nice thing to any club. But I was a little bit almost skeptic about like, where am I going? You know, is it gonna be a good move for me? And then I just, by the time I left, I was very impressed by many things. First of all, you get moved by the history of the clubs. You get moved by even the towns. You know, Wigan is not a big it's not even a city, right? But it's a big town and has so much history behind it. So many people, working class people, who have been devoted to this club and the town, and it really gives you and now like a deeper look about many things that happen in football. That, you know, it looks like it's a nice stadium, nice badge, Premier League, but behind it there's so much history, so many people working. So it taught me a lot about football in general.
When you moved to Wigan, what part of the town was particularly special to you? If you can name a few things.
No, I mean, I knew Wigan Pier because I read a few things about it when I was moving there, so I was very interested about it. And then I just happen to love the music there. You know, not necessarily Wigan. I mean, the Verve. They've been important in my youth as a band, but also I got interested in soul music, in blues, and Northern Soul was part of the history. And then Manchester also has a lot of music history. So I was very happy to be there because you see the reality of maybe the youth that made this music. You know, like all of this rock and roll that happened in this area of England. That was for me the most moving thing outside football. It was the culture that was there is behind all of this northern area.
It's a very unique place, the north of England, and it must have been great for you to kind of live amongst that. Obviously, during your time at the club, you won an FA Cup, which is a tremendous feat. What are your memories of winning the FA Cup in 2013? And have you got any stories from that special day?
Well, not necessarily from the day. Like how more special can it get? Like what story could I tell that's more special than the whole game itself? You know, with Ben Watson, with what had happened to him a few months back, and the game a couple of days before against Swansea that almost sentenced our relegation. I think that the story itself, you cannot add more, but what I would say is that what was amazing for us is that we first we were the big club because we were playing against Macclesfield and Bournemouth, and then it turned like we were the smaller club against Everton, and then we were the important ones against Millwall. We had to win, and through all of this competition, the team was so united. We started with a very young squad in the competition, obviously to get minutes, to get experience, and then you saw the team progressing and believing even more. I don't think even the club had, maybe even the manager, I don't think they had a big focus on the cup, because we were struggling in the Premier League and you couldn't risk injuries, you couldn't risk uh, players being tired. So you saw the momentum growing throughout the competition. I think that was the thing that really, this is what I learned from winning that cup. From being a not so important competition for us to becoming almost salvation. I wouldn't say salvation because we didn't give up on the league, but given the game against Swansea where we could have done better, then we had no other option than to die in the final. So
Is this one of your biggest career highlights to date?
yeah, as a group, yes, definitely. As a group, it has to be the next to promotion to Bundesliga with FC Köln. But I would say the FA Cup was even more special. It's more legendary. It's more how can I say it? I don't know. It's more charismatic to win an FA Cup than to get promoted to the Bundesliga, even though both competitions are very hard. But yeah, as an individual, I wouldn't say, because even though I was, I think, the third or the fourth player with most minutes, obviously I didn't play the semi-final nor the final, so you're not as involved as you could have been, and therefore it's not as nice as it could have been. Once you're in the pitch, you're is the ultimate situation. But as a group, it was the most beautiful thing I've lived there.
That's absolutely amazing to hear. At the moment at Wigan Athletic, it's been quite tough for the fans and for everyone at the club with the administration. First and foremost, was you shocked when you heard about the news?
Well, yes, I was definitely shocked because it's been a club that has been run so perfectly for so many years, with such a big focus on making the club healthy and making it profitable, if anything. And then it turned out such a professional club it turned out to be such a professional club with Roberto Martinez. I arrived on the same year that he arrived. He brought me there on the year he signed. And I remember walking in the changing rooms and everything and seeing a decent club, but it was not giving you Premier League vibes at all. It wasn't the level of the players. There was a very high level in players and all that, but regarding the training pitch, regarding the gym, the canteen, the changing rooms, uh, there was a lot to be done. And he just, in 1.5 years, I would say in 2 years, he turned it into probably the most professional club I've been to when it comes to facilities. And then with Dave Whelan, you saw that he was working so professionally, so business oriented, that it just made you proud to be part of it. It was like, even if I was 17, 18, 19, I was observing all of these things he was doing, all the ones that I would find out about. And I was thinking all the time, man, this guy, there is a reason, or probably 1,000 reasons why this guy is so successfully business wise. He was running things so perfectly. And then to see that of all of the clubs I've been, I'd say this one is the one that I would have never expected to be in the situation that it is now.
As a former player of this football club, how does this make you feel? What's your opinion on it?
Listen, it's devastating in the sense of how in England, of all of the countries, a very protective country when it comes to their heritage, to their history, regarding football clubs or regarding anything in general, is a country that protects heritage and protects history so much that whoever it was, or whatever association or group or federation, whatever, hasn't been able to spot a dodgy management or a dodgy thing behind this. It's regretful. It's like, come on, like England is better than that. England is much better than that. This cannot happen anymore. I was lucky enough, fortunate enough to play in Germany, and I would say that that's not going to happen in Germany. They're not going to let it happen. But they're not going to let it happen. The people who own a club like Bayern Munich, they're not going to let a smaller club do that mistake. They're not going to let it. And why has this happened? It's a big question mark for me. How can this happen?
Do you believe that England can learn a lot from Germany and how they regulate football?
I think yes. Germany is more interested in the control of the clubs, in the sense of like clubs and formation of players. You know, they don't usually sell young players. They want things to be done their way because it's been proven to them that this works. And I think England is a little bit more liberal in that sense. You know, if young players want to go there and here, it doesn't matter. Everyone can do their own thing. And then obviously it's more profitable if you can sell a club like Manchester City and do what they've done, or Chelsea and do what they've done, and you can make a long list of clubs that have brought money from abroad and they have been successful. But I think there has to be certain regulations, because at the end of the day, it's part of the culture. Even if people in Catalonia, we have a big conflict with politics and football, right? And people say don't mix. Well, football is people, and politics is also people. It affects the people, and when you are not careful with what happens with the clubs, you're not being careful with what happens with people. So I think there should be certain regulations to such a thing like a football club, because also it's been proven that for most of them they are not even profitable. So a lot of times you'd think there is a secret or another goal behind an investment like buying a club. Therefore, you have to investigate, because that goal has to be a healthy one, has to be one that is good for the community, not the one that is going to profit some betting company 12,000 miles away. I don't think that football should be such a pure business oriented thing.
It's some really interesting points there, and it's important to obviously build on that in the Championship, the majority of clubs are unsustainable and making a loss. So it kind of emphasizes the need to kind of investigate that and change the models. In terms of your own personal actions, Wigan Athletic fans and the supporters club have been doing the Save Our Club campaign, and you kindly got involved in that. Can you speak a bit more about that and what inspired you to do that?
Well, to be honest, as soon as I saw what was going on, although I've been very busy for the last month with pre-season and other things that have come across, and I couldn't really focus on it or do anything, and I was not sure, because you have to, in my opinion, even if you give one pound or $1 or whatever to anything, to anyone, you have to be sure that what's going on with this money. You know, you cannot give someone a pound that is not going to know how to use it. So we say in Spanish, this is bread for today and hunger for tomorrow. It's not going to sort out anything. So I was investigating a little bit, and it just reminded me so much with different style, I'd say, but Real Murcia, a club that I played for, they've been now in third division for a few years, but they are the club with most seasons in second division in Spain, and they've been in first division in Spain also like 25 seasons, something like that. They went through a very similar situation where they've been passed by different owners and people who only took money from the savings that the club had and all of that. And then the supporters decided to buy the club and give the option to anyone who could help to buy shares of the club, even though the amount of shares that you could buy was not going to make you the owner or anything. So as soon as I saw that the thing with Wigan was so similar to Real Murcia, and Real Murcia have been very successful in this, and I invite anyone because they made a worldwide campaign, so anyone can search in Real Murcia campaign, and they will find the information in English. It's very inspiring. So when I saw that the things were so similar, I just thought, well, I have to help as well.
That's some really interesting views, and obviously, as part of helping the club, you donated £1,000, and then you did a tweet saying for every retweet you'll donate £1 as the pink iguana. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so I was planning on donating around £2,000. And then I just thought, well, I'll donate the first 1,000 by, just by myself. I was not really interested in making it public, but then the Instagram account of Wigan put a story up, and I just thought, you know what, it's just promotion for it, so whatever. And then I thought, well, the other £1,000, I will make some noise, Let's get some people talking, and let's make something that is at least funny or whatever, silly, or that gets people talking. And since the pink iguana was one of the topics back then I just brought the pink iguana back from the grave, and I just thought, let's do this. And to be honest, I thought it would reach like 500, 600 retweets, and then I'll just give the 1,000 just because, And then I saw that it was 800 by like an hour and a half later. And I was like, okay, you know what? I was planning on spending 1,000. I'll donate 1,000, and I don't know how many retweets it has, but anyway, the idea for me was to make a little bit of noise, so people were talking about it and whatever.
Did you kind of almost wish that you kind of deleted the tweet in terms of your bank account? But it's actually great to hear the kind gesture. And I think a lot of fans are quite curious of how the pink iguana came about. Can you tell that story? Because I know it's an untold mystery.
Yeah, it's actually online. I don't know, because I don't know if I had an older account or anything. I was literally watching a Dave Attenborough documentary on Galapagos or whatever. Yeah, they're all in Galapagos, I think. Anyway, and suddenly I saw a pink iguana, and back then I was tweeting a lot of silly things because I found Twitter, and I still find it very silly for many reasons, very, very stupid. And I just said, isn't it curious that an iguana would be so vain to be pink, And it got a lot of retweets and a lot of answers, a lot of replies and a lot of likes. And I was like, you know what? And then I started tweeting as a pink iguana because I just found it, like it's Twitter, like whatever. It's just, you can be as silly as you want in Twitter. And that's it. And then some people really pick it up, and then there was banners in the stadium about it, and people writing me letters calling me pink iguana, and I was like, whatever, this is weird, but we'll keep going on, and that's it.
Did the nickname stick and follow on to any other clubs?
So no, I moved to FC Köln, and they were asking me about it, but very soon I guess Germans are not as funny as English.
Yeah, definitely. The English are definitely known for the humour, and I can imagine you were seeing that in your culture. I know the English weather is one thing you don't miss.
Yeah.
And I think my question, you mentioned about your previous clubs in Spain, how they had a similar kind of situation. And do you believe that a fan ownership can be successful?
I think so. I think it can. The way it happened in Murcia was that people who were a little bit more wealthy than the average, let's say, and who had actually knowledge of business, and more than anything, they had a lot of love for the club. They stepped in and they took the risk. And they say, you know what? I'm putting my work in. I'm going to put many hours into this. I'm going to risk my career, because you're going to give up a lot of career dreams and a lot of career moments that you will be busy with, in that case, Wigan. And also your image, might be someone, businessman in Wigan who wants to help, and, you give them the power, and if it doesn't work, you take a big risk, your business can be hurt, you can be hurt, your image can be hurt. So that's the way it happened there. It's just a few people were voted by the fans, and they say, listen, you are the guys who want to do it, and we trust you. And they did it, and they've been very successful. So I don't see why it wouldn't be like that in Wigan. It's going to be something made out of pure love, which moves, with love you can achieve almost anything you want. And if you have a little knowledge and a little help, and obviously it's football, a little luck, the ball goes in a playoff game in the final, and then you go up, then the story can be very successful. I personally, I prefer that. I prefer the power to the people than the power to some people that you don't even know. So yeah.
Are you confident that Wigan will survive this really dark patch?
I mean, I have the hopes for sure. I cannot tell because I don't have the information firsthand. I don't know the exact numbers, and I don't know exactly the situation inside. So for me to make a statement relating that will be foolish. But I definitely know that there's a lot of people that want Wigan to survive and Wigan to be successful. Not only to survive, but to be successful, to go back to the Premier League and all of that. So I think if people are willing to put the effort, the work, and the love, I think it's gonna be another epic achievement by Wigan, but it's possible.
I think Wigan's motto has always been to believe and keep the faith, and that's what the fans definitely need to do at the moment in time. You had you was at the club during some of our really enjoyable and best years, working with the likes of Roberto Martinez, Dave Whelan. Have you got any stories about Roberto Martinez to end the podcast and almost put a smile on people's faces again?
Well, I think Roberto is a very special person. He's a very special manager as well. Um, he made an amazing change, as I said before, in the club. And I think also England, he changed a little bit the English football. Even though he was not in the most powerful club, and he didn't have the biggest name like other managers have because they come from abroad or whatever. I think he made a lot of special things for the club. Anecdotes caught me off guard here, but I would say that one of the things that really made me believe in him and moving to Wigan was I was in Swansea. People don't know that, but I initially was going to sign for Swansea, and he called me there to make not a trial, but just to see the facilities and meet the people at the club and everything, and see if I liked it. And I played a couple of friendly games, and after the two games, he actually spoke with my dad. And one of the things that impressed me a lot, and that's when you have a good manager, is that he told my dad how I was better heading the ball from one side than the other. And that's a detail that most of managers would miss. They wouldn't care. Like, is he good on the air? Yeah, that's it. No, but he's better on with his left than with his right side on the air. This was one of the details. And the other thing that I really learned from Roberto, and that's we walk through the hall or one of the corridors in the club in the Wigan training ground, and there'd be a paper or plastic on the ground. And the natural thing is not to even pick it up. It's not your job, and you have other things to think about. He'd be the one out of all of the players, even out of all of the staff, he'll be the one to bend and grab that paper and put it in the bin. And that was the attention to detail that impressed me and made me see him as a genius. Because believe me, I've been now 10 years a football professional, and I haven't seen that before or after. I haven't seen that again. And that attention to detail is what I think he gave to Wigan.
What are your career goals at the moment? And I know you're currently playing in Cyprus. How are you finding that?
Yeah, Cyprus is a very competitive league, and it's a beautiful country to live in. So I moved here 2 years ago, and then I had a very good season. So I signed in Israel, and I was 6 months there, and then I had a phone call from AEK Larnaca. AEK is one of the biggest clubs here. Is almost Spanish-run club because Jordi Cruyff, the son of Johan Cruyff, he played in Manchester United. Jordi, he came here and made a revolution in the club and also in the league. And since then, a lot of Spanish managers, Spanish sport directors have been here. And I got a phone call from them, and it was a very good opportunity for me to move here. So currently, football goals basically to play every game like always, to enjoy, keep enjoying the football. And we have, I think, the goal as a club to go to Europe. This club has been going to Europe for the last 6 years, except the last one because the league didn't even finish. We just canceled the league. So that would be the goal. And in the future, who knows? I've been in 11 or 12 clubs so far. So for me to make a prediction, that would be very stupid.
Can you see yourself coming back to England one day?
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it, man. England is the mecca of football, I would say. It's just so beautiful to play football there. Stadiums are amazing. The stadiums are always full because of the fans. And football it's how it's meant to be played, wet surface, good grass, a little bit rainy weather. That's how football should be played, and that's how I enjoy it the most.
It's been really great to hear from you today, and I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast and giving up time out of your day to speak to myself. So thank you so much for that, and I wish you all the best for the future. Have you got anything else you'd like to say to Wigan fans before
No,
the end of the
I'll
podcast?
just say keep going, guys. You know more than anyone that it's believe in hard work, and you had many examples during the years in the club of people who have been giving everything, and the fans have been giving everything in the bad times and in the good times, and also a little bit of besides the economic situation. Wigan has most of its history been in lower tiers of the competition, so I don't think it should be seen as a disaster. Those years in the Premier League and the Championship have been like, yeah, the icing on the cake. It's like that's why we all play football and that's why we're all in football involved. But I think Wigan fans, given the situation, they should be positive and proud and happy and keep working, and I'm sure this will turn around.
It's a great saying and a great message to Wigan fans. I wish you all the best with Larnaca, and we hope to see you playing in Europe very soon. So thank you so much for speaking to us today, Roman.
Okay,